All right, so let's look at this year's tomatoes, 2018. So last year, I don't even know if I made a video about my tomatoes last year, but I had them in this bed, which is just right in the ground. I tilled the soil, added a lot of amendment last year. But what I did not do is lay down any weed barrier of any kind, and this ended up being insane. This was so weedy. It was absolutely awful. So this year I laid down the lawn bags. I did retill the soil. I did add compost to the soil and then retilled it. So it's nice and light underneath. My cat's going to show himself. He likes to be outside with me when I'm out here in this garden. So this year what I did is I have 5 tomato plants per row. And I laid down the paper first. I then cut into the paper, planted the tomatoes, laid down the mulch. I have these 2x6s here that I use to walk on so that I don't ruin anything. So what I'm using for tomato stakes this year, this is a little bit different, is I have 3/8 inch rebar that I am putting into the ground, and then on top of that I'm going to add some 1/2 inch PVC pipe with a cap. So I'm going to go add one of those so that you can see what that looks like. So I have a 10-foot piece of 1/2 inch PVC, and it's the thicker PVC. It comes in like a thin type or a thicker type. I got the thicker type of PVC. I did kind of push this in about 1 foot into the ground, and then my strength will not allow me to push it anymore. So when my husband gets home, I'm going to have him push it a little bit more down into the ground to give it some stability. It is going to drive me nuts that it's kind of leaning back like that, and I will probably cut 18 inches off of the top, and because I'm going to use those elsewhere. You'll see that in a different video. So this is how I'm going to do it this year, and I do have caps to go on the top so that water doesn't kind of get down into the PVC and further rust that rebar. And then I will use some flexible kind of, I don't even know what it's called, but to tie the tomatoes up. I'll make some videos as they grow. What's going to happen is the weight of the tomato plant is going to pull this a little bit further, so it's not going to always look like it's leaning back like that, because that's annoying. So that's how we're doing tomatoes this year. I have 15 plants, a couple different varieties. I always do Roma style, so thick style tomatoes, because I really don't like to eat fresh tomatoes except for Romas. It's just my personal preference, so that's what I tend to grow. I make salsa and spaghetti sauce for the most part out of my tomatoes. And over here in that open area where you see I have some trellises that I'm not using this year, I have some extra tomato plants. I think I'm just going to plant a row over there too. Yeah, so that's what we're doing this year with tomatoes. Happy gardening.